In this video, we're going to do a demo install of GearTrack. I'll go through step by step what you need to install the track, so we can have the junk cluttering up your garage organized on your wall in no time. Hi, I'm Aaron with Average Guy DIY, and I'm going to do the install of GearTrack over drywall with wood framing. I actually already did it, so I'm just going to show you what I did. If you're new to my channel, consider subscribing below if you want more home improvement and DIY tips. Now, although I'm doing today's install over wood framing, you can also install it over masonry, which I'll touch on later in this video. Either way, the demo will give you the gist of what you need to do to install the track. Here's all the stuff I suggest you have on hand. But instead of going through it all, I'll just leave a list in the description below with links for purchase in case you're short of something. I'm going to install 2 full pieces of GearTrack. I won't be doing any cutting during the install, but if you would like to install partial sections of GearTrack, you can cut the GearTrack with anything you can use to cut wood. For cleaner cuts, I suggest using a square and circular saw or a miter saw. Now let's move forward with the install, shall we? To begin, I line the GearTrack up with a level and get it horizontally flawless, and then mark it off. Next, I come back with a larger level to extend my line so I can align 2 pieces of track easily. Now, if your GearTrack is going to have a long run, you may want to consider a chalk line or a laser level instead. Next, use a stud finder to find some solid wood to anchor your track to. Now, this is one of my favorite stud finders because it has a row of lights. It's a bit easier to see visually where a stud begins and ends than your typical stud finder. However, like all other electronic stud finders, it works by reading density. Unfortunately, this is a little problematic when paired with extra plywood behind my drywall to comply with fire code. Now, fire code saves lives, so it's generally a good thing, but it's a real hassle when working on your home, so you may have this problem too. With that said, let's get back to the stud finder. See all those extra lights on my stud finder? I know there is not likely to be a triple stud or some other obstruction in the wall. The stud finder is having difficulty because of the extra plywood. So I have a backup stud finder that works by magnetism. It sticks to the wall wherever there are metal drywall screws. I use it just to confirm where the studs appear to be. And I check to see they are about 16 inches on center to make sure I'm not just going to turn my wall into Swiss cheese. I mark all my studs clearly where they are going to be covered by the track for reference. Then I come back and mark the studs with pencil lightly above the level line. This is so I can see them when installing the track and easily erase the lines when I'm done installing. If you're concerned about marking up your wall, then feel free to use painter's tape instead of pencil. GearTrack is exactly 48 inches long, and most homes have studs 16 inches on center, so you should be able to lay it out so that it goes across 4 studs, barely. 1 on the right edge, 2 studs in the middle, and 1 on the left edge. Knowing that, I check to make sure the GearTrack edges will fall on a stud. I look to the left and I look to the right and we're good to go. It's really close, so pay attention when you plan your layout. And try to anchor the track edges in the middle of the stud so your next track will be supported too. If you wind up with a long unsecured section of GearTrack, it's just going to flop around. So make sure your edges are supported appropriately. Now, if you're installing by yourself, there's a little trick to make installation way easier. Before you grab your GearTrack and try to put it on the wall, you'll want to pre-sink a couple of screws into the track. Put your track on a work surface and on top of some scrap wood. For cleanest work, pre-drill a hole within 1/4 of an inch from the edge of the top and bottom of the GearTrack on the side you'll be attaching to the stud. There's a little indented line between the tracks that will keep your drill bit in place. Then sink the screws just into the surface of the GearTrack. Not too far. You don't want to attach them to your scrap wood like I just did. Now we're ready to put it up on the wall. Grab your GearTrack and line it up. Because you already have the screws at the ready, it's super easy to hang even without assistance. We can just drive these screws in just enough to hold the board in place. You don't have to sink them all the way at this point. Now you are on easy street. With your free hands, you can use one hand to align the track with your level line and the other to drill some holes into the studs. I recommend pre-drilling as it's generally neater and you won't have to worry about stripping a screw head. I used Gladiator screws, so a 1/8 inch drill bit was the perfect size. One thing before you drill, you may want to mark off the screw length on your drill bit with blue painter's tape so you don't go too deep. If your wiring is up to code, you are unlikely to hit electrical wires with a 2-inch screw through gear track and drywall. But you might be able to win stupid prizes with a long enough drill bit. For extra safety, you can also turn off any nearby circuits. Also, when drilling, if you hit something real hard, stop. Could be a nail plate protecting something important like plumbing. Plumbing that runs through a stud is generally required to have a nail plate by code. So now I've prefabbed some screw houses with my drill bit. We can come back and sink the screws. On the first screw, I'm messing with the drill's torque control, or clutch, so I sink the screws without stripping them. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the clutch is the thingy with the little numbers that you can twist to adjust the drill. Twist those numbers on your drill to a number about halfway. You can always adjust it up more. Just the Gladiator screws can strip, so don't over-torque them. Once you have your drill's torque set, just send the rest of the screws into their new homes. Once you've sunk all your screws, go back to the first two you used to anchor the track to the wall in the beginning, remove them, drill a hole, and sink them too. Now that I got that first track in place, I grab my second piece of gear track that I already preset screws into earlier. Then I line it up on the wall with both the first track and the level line. And then I drive those pre-drilled screws just like before. Then I drill the rest of the holes and sink my screws into every stud just like I did on my first track. And then finish by drilling and screwing the holes I used to anchor the track to the wall. And now that it's done, I just come back and erase any pencil marks. Now if you want a more finished look, they do sell end caps to put over the edge of the track, but I've never bothered with them myself. But from what I understand, they just snap onto the end of the track. Now I go and grab my hooks, and voila! Now we can put up whatever we would like on the wall. From garden tools to kids' toys, balls and baskets, storage shelves, a wood rack. They even sell cabinets that attach directly to the track, although you'll need to mount a second track 18 inches below the first one. Now, if you want to install your track in concrete, block, or stone, it's the same basic install as I showed before with wood. You'll need a few different items such as Tapcon screws, a 5/32 masonry bit, and a drill that's fused with a hammer or a hammer drill. A regular drill really struggles in masonry. When you go to install, you'll want to drill 6 holes per channel and then sink the screws for a total of 12 screws per board. Oh, and you'll probably need a helper to hold the board because my trick won't work that well on masonry. The manufacturer also recommends waterproofing surfaces first and construction adhesive. I have some gear track in my concrete block basement and I sealed my walls with paint, but I didn't need any adhesive whatsoever and it's been fine for years, so I don't think construction adhesive is really all that important. So I think I covered it all. I hope this helps you get your garage organized, and if you found this information helpful, please hit the like button for me. If not, leave me a comment so I can learn to make better videos. So thanks very much and good luck with your install.